It's Wednesday, February 8th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Local ice cream maker Baiko is defending the importation of 900 cases of coconut water from Guyana. In fact, the company's executive chairman, Edwin Thurell, says not only is there a shortage of high-quality coconut water on the island, but some persons are also not satisfied with the hygiene practices of local roadside vendors. His comments comes a day after Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, blasted the move and called on residents to boycott the foreign product. However, Thurell tells Barbados Today his company has no intention of second-guessing its own move to bring in the popular thirst quencher into the island, as there is a definite demand for high-quality coconut water.
Oh, I'm interested in coconut water. Yeah, that's nothing new. So what? I think there's a need for it. So no, there's nothing in there that. That's a sensational piece which was done without much thought, and I wouldn't give much credence to it. If we brought in coconut water, we'd bring it in from CARICOM and it would be paid in Barbados dollars. So there's the first untruth. The whole purpose of the story was to say using scarce foreign exchange. You know, there are people who wouldn't dream of buying coconut water anywhere but from the man by the road. There's people who wouldn't drink that if you paid them because they said, I just saw what he just did before he cut that coconut. I'm not drinking that, right? So, you know, you've always got a diverse view and you have to cater for that. We don't live in a totalitarian society yet where everyone make their own minds up. You can't force people to buy anything. You put it out. If they buy it, they like it. If they don't like it, they don't buy it.
In other news, the Grenadian family alleging they were subjected to degrading and humiliating treatment by the Royal Barbados Police Force last October is carrying out their threat to sue. Attorney for the Gilbert family, Ruggles Ferguson, says the final details of the lawsuit were being worked out and it would be filed at an undisclosed date. The lawyer, however, did not give details, insisting more information will be revealed in due course. However, he tells Barbados Today he does not intend to back down until there was a satisfactory resolution. It's the world's largest online marketplace for travelers in search of private accommodations, and it's been driving tourists to Barbados. Airbnb says it was responsible for some 16,000 visitors which traveled here last year. That's about 2% of total arrivals. Locals too have been cashing in on the opportunity to list their properties for easy online bookings, and according to the company's public policy head for Latin America and the Caribbean, Sean Sullivan, some 1,100 Barbadians are already listed on Airbnb. Sullivan, who signed an agreement with the Caribbean Tourism Organization to develop a stronger partnership with Caribbean governments and other stakeholders, says Airbnb is a plus for regional destinations, and he rejected concerns from local hoteliers that Airbnb was undermining the traditional accommodation sector.
Whenever Airbnb starts growing in a market, we end up growing tourism by 30%. We don't shrink it from, we don't cannibalize it or take market share from hotels or other traditional accommodation sites. We end up basically growing it because more and more people are interested in coming. And what we do is we have a tremendous impact on local taxi companies, bars, restaurants, everybody, the entire ecosystem that makes up the tourism sector in general benefits when there's a growing kind of Airbnb presence.
But General Manager of Sugar Bay Barbados Beach Resort, Morgan Seal, tells Barbados Today Airbnb may not be all good for the island's tourism sector. He suggested that authorities may have to step in to regulate homestay programs to ensure the island's offering remain at a high standard.
So you don't want to devalue your product, and Barbados has always been known as a luxury destination, and I think that it's something that we have to keep pushing. Don't forget that also what makes it hard for us to sell rooms at a very low rate is, one, we have a very high cost. Barbados has one of the highest standards of living in the Caribbean, which means that your wages stuff like that are expensive, so it's harder for us to sell a room it's impossible for us to sell a room as cheap as Cuba, for example. And eventually they will catch up with us as well in terms of their pricing as their standard of living come up. But I think it's important to make sure that while we should cater to all markets and attempt to drive for them, that we don't water down the product or the experience by providing cheap accommodation.
A St. Andrew man was rushed to hospital yesterday after the vehicle he was driving overturned along University Drive, St. Michael. 31-year-old Jason Mears of number 1 Rock Hall, St. Andrew, sustained injuries to his head and leg in the accident that occurred around 3 p.m. He had to be removed from the extensively damaged vehicle by the jaws of life. Police investigations into this latest accident are continuing.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Get your paper, get your paper. Only $2.25, $2.20. Who? For what? That's Bear Stale News. I don't read about that on Barbados today since last night. That can't only care do. $2.20. Who?
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors, a new president is in place in Haiti. 48-year-old Jovenel Moïse was sworn into office yesterday following a political crisis that lasted more than a year. Moïse, a banana exporter, took the oath in a ceremony at the National Assembly. In Dominica, police fired tear gas in Roseau last evening to disperse protesters. According to reports, some protesters lingered on the streets after a meeting by opposition parties early Tuesday came to a close. The parties are demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. Reports also say rocks and bottles were being thrown and the riot squad moved in and tear gas fired. We head over to St. Lucia now, where Prime Minister Alan Chasney has his say about the status of Dr. Eubaldus Raymond within his cabinet. Raymond is at the center of a nude photo scandal that is currently before the law courts.
Once the case is heard and we understand what the facts are, then everybody can jump to whatever conclusions they want because it'll be based on facts. At this point, all that we know is that charges has been brought against a young lady, that there are pictures in circulation, and there's a bunch of hearsay. So I'm begging everybody to exercise patience. We're not passing any moral decisions on the situation now. What we're doing is being patient and allowing the rule of law to take precedence.
The government minister has neither confirmed nor denied publicly whether it is indeed his image in the pictures circulated on social media. Meanwhile, Kushabi Alexander remains on $10,000 bail until her April 7th court appearance.
He's not in a position in which he can affect the investigation. So, a conflict of interest or removing somebody is where there's a potential conflict of interest. So if they're involved in an organization that's evaluating itself, I can understand that. Or, I don't want to use any other examples, but clearly he's not involved in the investigation. He has no influence on the investigation. So it's not impeding him from being able to do his job at this time.
And finally, a French judge has ordered ex-President Nicolas Sarkozy to stand trial in an illegal campaign finance case. It's alleged that Sarkozy's party falsified accounts in order to hide 18 million euros of campaign spending in 2012. He denies any knowledge of overspending and announced plans to appeal against the order to stand trial. And on that note, we come to the end of our news update, but there's more on our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Or you can tune in to Channel 99 on Flow TV or Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Frenella Wedderburn. Good morning.